In Japan, Hyun says, "I just want to finish work early and go home to play with my son." Why would one of Asia's biggest stars, while promoting a major action film, reveal something so tender and personal? Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover the story behind this surprising moment. Right now, I just want to finish work early and go home to play with my son. It wasn't a line from a movie. It wasn't part of a press script. And it certainly wasn't what anyone expected from one of Asia's most celebrated actors during the Japanese premiere of his high-stakes action film, Harbin. Hyun, known for his stoic demeanor and polished presence, let his guard down in a fleeting moment of honesty, and it captured headlines across Asia. Why now? Why, amidst flashing cameras, media interviews, and global expectations, would Korea's leading man suddenly open a window into his private world? What does this single sentence reveal about the new Hyun, no longer just the brooding heartthrob of K-dramas, but now a husband, a father, and a man transformed by family? This is not just a story about a press tour. It's a portrait of a star navigating the intersection between fame and fatherhood. And it begins in Tokyo. Setting, Japan welcomes Hyun. Tokyo's air was crisp, charged with energy. Fans lined up for hours outside the Grand Toho Cinema's Roppongi Hills. Some carried handmade banners in Hangul and Japanese, while others clutched plush toys and fan letters addressed not just to Hyun the actor, but to Papa Hyun. It had been nearly 5 years since Hyun last visited Japan for a promotional event. Since then, the world had changed. A pandemic had reshaped the entertainment industry, and Hyun's own life had transformed profoundly. Marriage to Sun Ye-jin, a child, and a new chapter of maturity. As he stepped onto the red carpet in a tailored black suit, there was something different. The signature charisma was still there, but softened by a sense of calm. His smile, once elusive, came easier. The fans noticed it. The media noted it. No one could predict what he'd say next. The quote that stopped everyone. During a post-screening Q&A session, a Japanese reporter asked him a routine question: "How do you recharge after intense filming?" Hyun paused, then chuckled lightly. "I just want to finish work early and go home to play with my son," he said, almost shyly. The translator repeated the phrase. The audience responded with soft laughter, and then warm applause. It was a moment of humanity in an otherwise tightly managed press tour. It was the kind of sentence that lingers, simple, yet disarming. A subtle declaration that the man behind the action sequences and stoic expressions was living a fuller, more emotionally complex life than ever before. Media ran with it. Headlines across Korea and Japan echoed the quote. Fans posted it with heart emojis, and others, particularly young fathers, expressed admiration for his honesty. In an industry where male stars often hide their domestic lives, Hyun's words felt refreshingly real. The journey to fatherhood. To understand the impact of that quote, we must look at the journey that led him there. Born Kim Tae-pyeong, Hyun rose to stardom in the early 2000s with his breakout role in My Lovely Samsoon, and later cemented his heartthrob status with Secret Garden. For over a decade, he was Korea's most eligible bachelor, stoic, guarded, and focused entirely on his craft. Then came Crash Landing on You in 2019. Opposite Sun Ye-jin, the two created palpable chemistry on screen, which quickly sparked dating rumors. Fans were thrilled, but cautious. Celebrity relationships in Korea often face intense scrutiny. Their relationship blossomed in private. In March 2022, they married in what was dubbed the wedding of the century. Ye-jin wore a minimalist designer gown. Hyun looked every bit the gentleman. The ceremony was intimate, attended by close friends, family, and a select group of industry colleagues. Later that year, they announced they were expecting their first child. In November 2022, Sun Ye-jin gave birth to a baby boy. The couple kept details private, but the announcement alone was enough to send fans into a joyous frenzy. Since then, Hyun has remained mostly tight-lipped about fatherhood. Unlike other celebrities who share baby photos and parenting vlogs, he kept his private life exactly that, private. Which is why his one sentence in Japan was so powerful. It offered a rare, unscripted glimpse into his personal joy. New type of leading man. In Korea's entertainment industry, male actors are often expected to retain an air of mystique, unattached, emotionally distant, tirelessly devoted to their careers. Fatherhood is rarely part of the image. Hyun Bin is rewriting the script. Since becoming a father, fans and colleagues have noted a subtle but undeniable shift. He's more grounded, more present, and, according to some who've worked with him on Harbin, more emotionally resonant in his performances. Harbin, a film set during the early 1900s, tells the story of Korean independence fighters resisting Japanese colonial rule. Hyun Bin plays An Young-jun, a historical figure who assassinated a Japanese official as a revolutionary act. It's a heavy role, both physically and psychologically. I wanted to show his humanity, not just his patriotism, Hyun Bin said in one interview. It's not just about fighting, but about love, love for country, for people, for family. Those words, paired with his comment in Japan, paint a picture of an actor deeply in tune with both his role and his personal life. In interviews, he's become more open, not revealing too much, but enough to suggest a man who has nothing to hide. The old mystique has been replaced by maturity. The aloof bachelor is now a reflective father. Colleagues describe him as changed in the best way. Directors note his patience on set. Crew members mention his kindness. And fans, old and new, are discovering a different kind of star, one who doesn't just act love, but lives it. Hyun Bin once captured hearts with his roles. Now, he captures admiration with his realness. Japan, amidst the flashing lights and promotional chaos, he spoke a truth that many overlook in celebrity culture, that behind the glamorous facade, there exists a man who, like many of us, just wants to get home in time to play with his child. But the question remains, how does someone like Hyun Bin, an international icon, balance the relentless demands of fame with the quiet needs of a growing family? To answer that, we must look deeper. Opening scene. Backstage at the press conference, long after the flashes had dimmed and the crowd's buzz faded, Hyun Bin sat in quiet. He glanced at his phone and smiled briefly, a private smile not meant for cameras. Perhaps it was a photo from home, a short video of his son laughing, or a simple message from Son Ye-jin, "We miss you." This moment, fleeting as it was, defined the emotional undercurrent of the man who stood on stage hours earlier. Between action scenes and red carpets, Hyun Bin was living two lives, the revered actor and the present father. Fatherhood versus fame. Fame is a demanding partner. It devours time, privacy, and space to breathe. For someone like Hyun Bin, whose career demands long hours on set, months abroad, and emotional intensity for each role, family time becomes a rare commodity. In interviews post-Harbin, he alluded to the struggle. Being away is the hardest. You can Zoom, but it's not the same. You miss first steps, first words, tiny, ordinary miracles. This confession resonated deeply. Only because it came from a global star, but because it mirrored a universal truth for parents everywhere. You're a celebrity or a commuter, every parent fears missing the little things. Balancing fame and fatherhood requires boundaries, something Hyun Bin has become fiercely protective of. He schedules flights to minimize time away. He turns down roles that might keep him overseas for extended periods. To the public, strategic career decisions. But to those close to him, choices made by a father first, actor second. Son Ye-jin, his partner in life and spirit. Hyun Bin is the steady force. Son Ye-jin is the emotional anchor. An accomplished actress in her own right, she understands the rhythms of the industry. She knows the weight of fame and the cost of vulnerability. Relationship is grounded in mutual respect. Insiders say they communicate constantly, not just out of habit, but because they genuinely enjoy each other's presence. When Hyun Bin is away, Son Ye-jin handles the home front with grace, never once using their child as a reason to limit his artistic choices, but always ensuring that he knows he's missed. Has spoken publicly about motherhood changing her. Everything feels more fragile now, and more beautiful, even the hard days. Hyun Bin echoes this sentiment in quieter ways. During press events, he often credits Son Ye-jin as his emotional compass. Behind every powerful man, as the saying goes, is a stronger woman, and in their case, a deeply balanced partnership. Harbin, a reflection of inner struggles. In Harbin, Hyun Bin's character is consumed by duty. He grapples with personal sacrifice for a greater cause, A theme that resonates on both historical and personal levels. What does it mean to choose something bigger than yourself? For Hyun, it meant laying down his life. For Hyun, the stakes aren't as literal, but the emotional cost still exists. Every trip abroad means absence. Every role that requires immersion is time not spent watching his son grow. When asked if fatherhood influenced his portrayal, he responded, "You feel things more deeply. You cry easier. You understand fear, not for yourself, but for those you love." The emotional depth of his performance in Hyun has been widely praised. Critics note a nuanced vulnerability not seen in previous roles. His eyes carry more weight. Silences speak louder. It's the performance of a man who knows loss and love intimately. Hyun's legacy, from star to symbol. For years, Hyun was the gold standard of K-drama male leads. But now, he represents something more powerful, the evolving image of modern masculinity in Korean entertainment. He's shown that strength and softness are not mutually exclusive, that you can be an action star and still rush home to read bedtime stories, that being a good father is as admirable as being a box office success. Younger actors cite him as a role model. Directors trust him not just for his talent, but for his discipline and empathy. And fans, especially those who followed him since Secret Garden, now see a man who's grown alongside them. Emotional ending. The tour in Japan ended as it began, with flashes, cheers, and formalities. But when Hyun stepped onto his flight home, his mind was elsewhere. There's a quiet kind of joy in knowing where you truly want to be. For Hyun, it's not the spotlight, it's home, with toys on the floor, a baby's laughter echoing down the hall, the love of a family waiting behind the door. So when he said, "I just want to finish work early and go home to play with my son," it wasn't just a sweet soundbite, it was the most honest line he's ever